We have been talking about the grievance redressal system for the last few days. In this video, we are going to finally talk about the role of Data Protection Board in the grievance redressal mechanism under the Data Protection Act or the DPDP Act 2023 for India. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on data privacy. And as I said, today we are going to talk about the role of the Data Protection Board in the grievance redressal mechanism. So what is this Data Protection Board? The board constituted by the Government of India, central government, with the idea of being a regulator to the privacy concerns around the country. They are the ones who are going to enforce the privacy laws. They are the ones who are going to make sure that the data subjects' rights are taken care of, that the fiduciaries are following up good practices, good business practices. They would oversee those data processing activities and practices. They would be answerable for the concerns and complaints that either the principal or the fiduciary raises to them for any data processing activity, and they need to ensure fairness and transparency in these data processing activities. They are the implementers and the regulators of privacy compliance in the country, and that's the basic purpose of the Data Protection Board. Now, when it comes to grievance redressal, it means that the principal is not happy with the fiduciary. So what does the board need to do? Board needs to have a proper mechanism where they can capture the principal's concerns. A proper written complaint. Written does not necessarily mean handwritten, it could be digitized also. So a proper complaint with full details should be received by the board, and they should have a mechanism to record it and work on it, investigate on it, talk to the fiduciary and ask them, why is this concern raised? And once the fiduciary responds, then the board needs to talk to both the parties to come back to an amicable solution. It could be a very simple thing where the principal says, I want to change my address, and fiduciary is not changing the address. And the fiduciary says, I am not changing the address because the process is under a jurisdiction, and therefore the court has put up a sanction that the address cannot be changed, right? So the data subject's right cannot be honored in that case. So in that case, the board would need to sit down with both of them and explain it to the principal that your request cannot be answered. On the other side, it could be that the fiduciary forgot to take consent, or they took consent but for a different purpose and started processing for a different purpose without taking consent for that purpose. And a principal comes up with the complaint. Now this is a genuine complaint. So now what does the fiduciary do? They didn't answer. They thought they'll mitigate. They thought they'll run away with it. But the board, if they find that there's an issue here, then they can order rectification, which is a very minor thing, but they can impose huge penalties, 200 to 250 crore rupees INR, right? They can order improvements as well. So the fiduciary needs to be prepared for that. The board also faces challenges. They could also get overrun with the volume of complaints that they receive. And therefore, as fiduciaries, we should be careful that we are able to answer to principals good enough that they don't need to go to the board, right? But then board also needs to ensure that they have adequate manpower available, adequate resources available to handle those complaints, adequate manpower and resources available to conduct detailed investigations, collect documents, conduct hearings, and conclude on what is right and what is wrong, and is able to close it with the principals as well as with the fiduciary. They should ensure that the system is transparent and there is no partiality being done while conducting investigations and while concluding the final judgment. What are the powers and how do they enforce when it comes to board? They can penalize you depending on the kind of nature of offense. They can issue directives of improvement or corrections, and they could issue directives to monitor compliance, ensure fiduciaries follow the directives, right? So fiduciary needs to take care of that also. So these are the roles of the board, that fiduciary needs to comply with the improvements and the directives that the board is issuing to them. The benefits of the grievance mechanism include strengthening accountability, empowering principals, giving me the power and the understanding that if I am not happy with fiduciary, there is someone available to listen to, ensure data privacy compliance, and build trust in the privacy ecosystem. The entire ecosystem should work in a very good manner. So that's about the role of the Data Protection Board in grievance redressal under the DPDP Act 2023. I hope you like the content of the video. Please press the bell and the like icon. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already done that, and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.